Okay, so hi everyone. I am Radu Motișan. I am from Timișoara, Romania, so we are very close. And I'm really happy to be here and have the chance to talk to you all. Thank you for your interest in being here. Also, thank you to the organizers for having me here. What I would like to talk to you about is hardware manufacturing, and that is because I think we share. Oh, thank you. I think we share something in common. I am a maker myself. I am trained as a software developer, but electronics was a long-term hobby of mine. So what I did recently was just to move from my boring job, if you want, and do the things I enjoy most, and that is very well connected to making, hacking, and interesting projects, which I like to use my time on. And the thing about hacking, making, having fun with electronics and everything is that it can go on a very interesting route if you are just a bit careful about planning some details and trying to get to a given result. What I'm trying to say here is that usually what we do looks like this. So that's what we enjoy doing, and that brings us great satisfaction. The problem is that you might be doing some high voltage experiments and then run into problems if you don't clean your desk properly. So I done that and I enjoyed it a lot. And some of my projects included lots of sparks, robots, and things like those. And you can still see some of that work on my blog. I still enjoy doing that. Unfortunately, time is a problem. And one thing I used to say to my friends is that we are all doing the wrong thing. We should actually quit our jobs and start thinking about building a time machine, because then we would solve all our problems. So after having a lot of fun with these interesting experiments, one day I decided to do a step further, and that was to take one of my projects, which was developed, like I've shown you previously, on the messy desk, and just try to put into production. Why I did that was because I wanted to build a tool which is not useful just for myself, but also for others. But in that case, you can't just deliver a bunch of messy cables. So the trick here was to be a bit more organized, and this is how I managed to bring a toy developed in my free time as a hobby project to something approaching a product which could actually enter the market. And the challenge was tough, really. Like going into this direction and stopping the playtime and just trying to get more serious about the things I did was difficult, because there are so many aspects which need to be taken into consideration when you are trying to build your own hardware product. And one of the biggest challenges are related to the resources that you have. You know that for software it's a complicated thing to do, like you need to have all that architecture, all the organization of the code, and then all the testing in order to have something that works. For hardware is at least double the effort to get to a result, because hardware exists in two dimensions. You also have the software. You need to have firmware for digital electronics. So you get the software development part there as well, but then for hardware you get all those testing related to interferences. You have an inductor which can actually just ruin your entire PCB, and then you need to start over. So things were good, because here's Dave holding one of the early products I was able to do, just playing and moving from my desk to something which I could actually put into production. If Dave was happy, then I am happy as well. What can I say? He usually just throws curses to everything, and he's a very hard to please guy, but there's the thumb up, so that's really great. So, of course, the next thing was to scale up, and that means a single thing, volume. You need more units, you need to build more, and just remember where we started. We used to have fun, we used to play, we used to have a messy desk, but now we need to keep up with demand, we need to be better organized, and most important, time needs to be enough to get the job done. And this is actually a very big problem here already. Just to see those bunch of units there, just imagine how much time you would need to solder those by hand using SMD components. Just imagine how much time it takes to screw in all those 8 screws on the enclosure. So it really adds up. So when you just finished everything, you realize that you have an issue or the testing doesn't go good and you need to start over. So these are tough challenges. So what I did, and this is the thing I want to talk to you about, and really this is not a monologue. I want to get you involved, so feel free to ask questions whenever you want, because these are some lessons I am willing to share with you. The next thing I did was just to go on Alibaba. It's that unfriendly site. Maybe you know AliExpress. I'm sure you know eBay from buying stuff. AliExpress is also a nice alternative. Then you have that Taobao. I never got my packages from there. Did anyone was able to be successful on Taobao? You need to tell me what I did wrong there, so I'm really curious to find out.
It's a local forwarder. A local forwarder.
Okay, so I missed that probably. So what I did with Alibaba was to try to get to the people I needed. Those included PCB manufacturers in the first place, but then I also needed companies doing aluminum processing. I wanted to have the products I was building put into aluminum enclosures. So for that, I needed various companies doing various things. But most important, I needed to find a way to put everything together, like having a central spot where everything is being centralized, to have someone that is able to assemble things, to test things, and just ship them to the destinations I was interested in. And this was a blessing, really. Doing this was probably the most important thing for this project, which actually started as me having fun in my spare time. Because I was able to find not one, but I think 3 companies doing aluminum manufacturing. And I had the chance to try 2 of them. Because in the first place, of course, just browsing Alibaba, it was like finding very many suppliers which said, yeah, we can do everything, come work with us, try us, we are the best, but actually not all of them are able to deliver what they promise. So it was important to test them. Then for the PCB manufacturing, there were also other companies that can do this part. Also assembling. So it's interesting to see that most of the companies just deliver the PCBs, but you can find a few that also do assembling. So no more soldering by hand. You can have the job done in China. And really, there is a big advantage here. Imagine you have to solder like 10 boards for a product you are working on. So everything is fine, you just follow the design, you have the soldering in place, and then comes the testing, where you see that like 3 of your boards fail for some unknown reason. Maybe it's a problem with the soldering, or maybe something unknown, something related to voodoo happening on your board, and the bloody board simply doesn't want to work. So what do? You just start testing it, you take out your oscilloscope, and you waste a lot of time just to find out that there is a small piece of copper somewhere just touching something, and that blows everything away. And you waste half a day on a board just to find that problem. That's not okay. And the advantage is that when you have a contract with a manufacturer, you pay for working boards. So it's their problem that they are having defects or problems in assembly. You get the thing you paid for and you waste no time. And this is really important, especially when you're trying to build something from the bottom up, because, as you know, resources are limited, and you need to calculate everything very carefully if you are to get somewhere with it. And then, of course, it's important for your partner to be able to deliver quality that you can trust. Like you need to make your customers, if you want, or your partners, or the guys you're delivering to, happy about the product you're delivering. And this is a tough challenge, really. Personally, I never been to China, so that might be tricky, because you need someone to supervise what's happening there. It's a problem of trust, if you want. You need to either to be capable of trusting your partner, or to supervise it very closely. So I don't have an answer for you on this one. For me, it worked just fine. I was able to find a company, and things went well with those guys for like 2 years now. And I can say that I would continue to work with those guys as well. So, do you have any questions on this mechanism going from Alibaba to actual people in China, and you would like to know something related to this more?
How many units you have to make to start collaborating with them?
That's a great question, because usually the quantity is quoted in numbers starting with 500 units and go up. But the guys I worked with and some others I found, because I tried to have some redundancy, I didn't play everything on one card. Well, I was able to find guys that agreed to work on quantities up to 100, and that was perfect. And also they, in some cases, agreed to offer test boards, like 10 or 20 of them. Of course, those are a bit more expensive, but nothing to compare with what I would get locally. Is there anything else? Okay.
How much it takes to have a prototype from China to Romania?
So the prototype, I'm building it myself. I was able to do 2-layer boards using the hot iron. You know that method, the transferring toner and things like those. And that worked fine. There was that picture there where I told you that I was trying to do everything more standardized and just try to shape it into a product. That image there was actually a board which I was able to do myself. So the prototyping is local. That's very important. And then when you place the order, you just need to export your Gerber files and make sure you have no mistakes there, because there is no turning back. If there was a mistake, you will just throw them away. And it takes like 2 weeks to get the manufacturing done. Quantity is really not important here, like they have the machinery to cover big numbers. And then you could count the shipping back like 1 week. So it's a delay of like 3 weeks from the moment you click it on your computer and you get the actually goods delivered. But I don't know how things are here in Serbia, but in Romania we also have the customs office. And those guys love us a lot, because they always delay with 1 extra week. No, it's not that really. They don't do that anymore, but it's enough that they are a big pain in the BIP. And okay, so what the problem here is, I was in Cluj, in one of the cities in Romania, and there was this topic on open innovation. It's a great topic nowadays. And open innovation was related to the thing that in this moment of time we are living, we have so little time for everything. So the idea is to try to speed up the development, to try to put creativity to work at a faster pace. So if you have an idea, to have everything you need to be able to get on the market. This was the topic. And one of the proposed solutions was to see the city, an entire city, as a playground. What does that mean? It means that if someone like me or you comes with a product, to find the trust to have your product accepted faster, Because if you don't do that, startups especially will have no chance to get the right point, because it takes so many certifications, it takes so much time, so many resources to actually get on the market on the traditional way. So this is a problem that stops progress, if you want. So the problem here is that it's great to have the city as a playground. Unfortunately, the customs office are so far away from this concept, really. So obstacles all around.